Hello crafters, I'm JanB and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. Today I'd like to show you how I made this card. I posted this to my blog today and I was explaining that I developed the design by because I thought that this flower, which is stamped, matches the flower in the DSP absolutely brilliantly. And as I was writing my blog, I was thinking, I wonder if this design would work well on a different design sheet from the, this was from the Affectionately Yours Specialty Designer Series paper, and I just wondered whether this design here would go with a design that doesn't actually have them in here, and I thought, well, the only way to find out is to try it, which is what I'm going to do now. Earlier on today I did make two using Watermelon Wonder, which I'll show you towards the end. So the card pieces we're going to need, and this is also a change for me. I'm using a multicoloured sheet, which is very, very unusual. Most people know that I'm definitely very monochromatic. So again, this is from the same designer series paper. The card pieces you're going to need. The card base is Night of Navy, and this measures 8 1/4 inches by 5 3/4 inches, which is 21 by 14.5 centimetres. You need a piece of Whisper White, which measures 4 inches by 5 5/8 inches, which is 10.25 by 14.25 centimetres. Then you need a sheet of designer series paper, and this measures 3 7/8 inches by 5 1/4 inches, which is 10 by 14 centimetres. And then for the two pieces here, the Night of Navy measures 2 1/8 inches by 3 3/4 inches, which is 5.5 by 9.5 centimetres, and the Whisper White is 2 inches by 3 5/8 inches, which is 5.25 by 9.25 centimetres. And then you just need a piece of crumb cake to make the flowers. So that's what I'm going to start off doing first, the flowers. I have already done my 3 flowers, but I just want to show you the process. Although I won't actually be using these 3 flowers in today's card, they won't be wasted because I will use them in a future project. Right, so that's the 3 flowers stamped. Oh, sorry, I didn't show you the stamp set. It's called Love and Affection. I'm using the smaller outline flower. That's the big one. I'm using this one. I'm using that little stamp there, which goes into the centre of the flower, and I'm using this little sprig of berries. You could use that one. That one I think will probably be too big, but your choice. Right, now that I've stamped the flowers, we need to stamp this little centre bit. Now I'm going to bring the camera down so that you can see what I'm doing. Right, now this little stamp, I don't think there's a right way and a wrong way. I'll give the camera a chance to focus. Right, okay. There are 3 lines on the pointing towards the top of the stamp, and then opposite, pointing downwards, there are 2 sets, one going left, one going right, and those 2, which look like legs I suppose, are the 2 that I get into these 2 flowers here that are quite close together. I don't believe there's a right and wrong. The only wrong would be to get these lines outside the petals. But what I do is, first of all, I look at lining up these straight lines in there, and then the next thing I look at is the centre of the flower to make sure that I get that centre somewhere near the centre in there. Okay, so I've got the two on this side, and I'm going to get them there. Once I'm happy that they're there, I'm going to aim the centre down in the centre of my flower. Okay, you see how I say that it doesn't line up properly. That one's gone very close to the edge, but that's fine. I'll be careful not to take you out the camera. Right, let's try the next one. Let's see how low I can get you, because I don't want to get my head in. Right, let's turn that a little bit. There we go, that's all right. As I say, there are no straight lines going outside. The centre of the stamp is more or less in the centre of the flower. Crikey, I think that's the best one I've ever done. So there we go. I don't need the ink for the time being. Now they need to be fussy cut, which I've already done. But what I do want to show you is when you fussy cut, because you're cutting right against the blue line, occasionally you finish up with a bit of crumb cake on the outside of the line. Try not to move, otherwise it makes the camera go out of focus. And there are other times when you go too close, you take too much of the blue line off. So what I do, I've already done it to those two. I take my Night of Navy marker pen and I take the brush end. Now, keeping the brush end underneath, in fact I'm going to have to move the camera up a bit. Right, so keeping the pen, the brush, underneath the flower or towards the back of the flower, I put it up in between there and I just take that around. So the edge of the brush is actually painting the edge of my flower. I just go all the way around like that, whether I think it needs it or not. Now this bit here it's got quite a lot of crumb cake showing. So what I'm going to do there is actually tilt my pen forward to make sure I do cover all of that crumb cake. And the reason I say keep your pen underneath your petals, underneath your flowers, is because if your pen slips, then you're going to get your lines underneath there. I didn't on that one, I must have done on one of these. Oh, there we go. I slipped there, but at least the pencil, the pen mark is on the back there, and there's another one. I was going to say, I do normally, my pen does normally slip. Which is also how come I know to keep your pen underneath your flower. Right, let's go back out again. Now I'm going to go on to this piece. When I first did this, I had a piece of post-it note and I stamped my flower, and I did actually cut out 3 of these because that was going to be part of my design, but I changed my mind as I went along. I only needed 1. So what I do is, to get these stamped behind here, I could just stamp them and then hope that it's all finished up in the right place. But I tend to be a little bit more precise than that. So what I do is I just position my flowers where I want them to go. And then, how far down can I bring this? With this one, now I'm using the berries. So what I'm going to do is, the way I've got that flower there, I'm going to lay this in that position, in more or less that place. I don't get paranoid about it. If that's close enough, that's good, I'm fine. And then once you get ink on here, you can see exactly where this is going. And what I do is I aim to get the stalk here. Where's my paper piercer? I don't think I've been using it today, so let's use tweezers. With the stalk that comes down here, I make it go so that it's coming up between two petals. And then this first one, as I'm looking at it doing that, I see where it's coming above my paper. And if it's coming too high, then I move my flower down. Or I might twist the flower so that the gap is more over there. Because this one is leaning over that way, I can afford to have it coming round like that. Now this one, you will find I've only got two little bits at the top here, where this one and this one have protruding out a lot more, but that's because that one was up at the top there. So let's get this right the way down. So I'm going to be doing that there. Okay, so that's going to work. That'll be fine. Okay, so the ink is on there. I can see this a lot better now. And I'm just going to go down. Obviously I can't see it as well as I normally do because I can't get my head right forward. Oh, that's okay. Let's come up. So that's alright because I'm going to be able to put my flower down and that can go on there somewhere. So this is going to be the next one. I've got a gap there for my flowers, for my berries to come through. So I am now going to, so that's like that. That's going to be a bit like that direction. I'm going to put that in there. Yep, that's good. It's only really that first one that causes a little bit of a dilemma because you've got to worry about it coming off the top. Okay, so that's that one. And I put them back so that I can see how my arrangement is coming along. And I think I'm going to turn that one like that because I've got to have quite a bit of space here for my berries. So this is this way round. As you can see, I'm not using a ruler or anything to get this back into the same position. As long as it's close, then I'm happy. And line up the berries again. There we go. So I will put that post-it flower away and save that for another project. So now what I'm going to do is just stick my flowers on. Now if you've been very observant, you may think to yourself that is different to how you had it before. Well, that's right, as long as they look like a good arrangement, which that does, then I am happy. So I'm just going to adhere these using Tombow. Whoops, that came out a bit fast. Let's share that. There we go. Squeeze a little bit more gently. Right, now I'm going to do my sentiment, and that comes from Circle of Spring, and I'm using Happy Birthday to You. That's this one. Just making sure that my card, in fact bring it down, how far can I come? Right down to the edge, that's good. Make sure my cardstock is nice and straight, lined up with my line there. And good old photopolymer in with a chance to get it straight. There we go. Now on this one there was a large white area left, which is why I put that little flower in, but I don't think I want to do it here. The gap isn't quite so big, and I think the way all of that is laid out, it's just spaced out nicely. So that is it, I'm going to stop. And one thing I did on here that I'm not doing on here, and vice versa, something I'm doing on here that I didn't do here, in the centre of all of these flowers and the flowers on here, I know you can't see it, but I went over with the Wink of Stella. What I'm going to do on this one is in the centre of the flowers on here, I'm just going to use my white gel pen, and I'm just doing little white dots, just doing masses of them, so that I'm not quite sure how to describe what it looks like. I'll bring it up to the camera so you can see it closely. But I'm just not colouring it in so that it is solid white. You may prefer to do the Wink of Stella, but that's fine, choices. I quite like this white on it. Okay, when I've finished you'll be able to see both cards up against each other. Mind you, might not really be able to tell because this one's going to be very coloured, but we'll see. Right, so I'm going to adhere all my layers together now with Tombow. I'll start with the Whisper White. I love this. I think this just goes together so well. I feel that I could put that with lots of different designer series papers. I wonder how many I'd have to do before I got bored with it. Right, so that's the Whisper White layer. Oh, this one. Oh, that's the design I was using this morning. So I'll show you those when I've finished. One of them I did with a card base of Watermelon Wonder, and another one I did with the card base of Crumb Cake. So that gives you other options to think about. That same designer series paper. There we go. And then this one. Now this you could pop up on pop dots, dimensionals if you want. I tend not to. Now I have my ruler handy just to make sure I can get this one straight. So look at it first. And I think I'm about right. So that's 3 before 1. Yay, look at that. My ruler tells me that's straight. So there we go. Does it work with this, a different DSP? I'm not sure it works with a multicoloured one, but then that's me. I'm not really a multicolour person. But there we go, there's that one. Let me show you the two Watermelon Wonder. This is the one that I did with the Watermelon Wonder card base, and I did Watermelon Wonder there. That one had a bit of a gap, so I did another flower. And this one, I've got the crumb cake backing to it, and I did the leaves on that one too. So there's 4. I'd be interested to know which one you like the best. In fact, I'd like to know whether you think that one works, the multicoloured one. That's my favourite, that's my second, that's my third, that's my 4th. Okay, be interested to know what you think. Many thanks for watching my video. If you have any questions, please leave me a comment in the box below or email me at janb@janbcards.com. If you'd like to purchase any of the products that I featured here today, there's a link in the box below which is 24/7 online Stampin' Up shop. If you click there, that'll take you to my shop and you can order any of the products here. If you've enjoyed my video, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and then you'll be notified each time I upload another one. Finally, I will put all the measurements and all the products that I've used on the screen. If you're watching on a device where you can't see those, the writing, then it will be in the box below. You don't have to go to my blog to find it. It will be down there, nice and easy for you. Many thanks for joining me today. Until next time, happy crafting. Cheerio.